Journalism is under attack, and you might be saying, what's journalism? Well, it actually exists, and just as Eric Blair, or more formally known as George Orwell, said, journalism is printing what someone else does not want printed. Everything else is public relations. And this is why we're getting into two very important stories related to San Francisco and France with the attacks on journalism, specifically the attacks on sources and publishing information that the authorities don't want the public to know about. This is a very important story, but before we get into that, plus a lot more, I wanted to remind everyone that I and other amazing people will be speaking at the Anarcho Vegas event happening on July 19th to July 21st, 2019 in Las Vegas. And if you guys want to go to that, check out the link in the description where you can get tickets with the promo code WRC and get 10% off. Now, Jason, just jumping into the story first of all here, the last paragraph in this San Francisco Chronicle story says it all. Let me read it here. Police showed up at Carmody's outer Richmond district home with a sledgehammer, drew their guns, and cuffed him for more than 6 hours. The police chief asked about the sledgehammer, and he responded, quote, "We know that looks bad." Yes, it looks bad because Carmody is what many people renown as a journalist. And he, of course, got his hands on a police report that talked about a public official who died because of drugs and alcohol use. This, of course, had the police officers pissed off that this public defender's information was leaked, that this police report was leaked, and they raided his home with sledgehammers. And of course, a lot of people have criticized them for this, but holy cow, the police are doubling down here in this entire controversy in what clearly looks like a desperate attack against information that they did not want out there. What's your take on it, Jason?
Well, we know it's an internal police report, so immediately they suspect that somebody on the inside was involved to give this to Carmody. That's where the conspiracy charges are being drawn. Somehow he conspired with this source, and this is a very slippery slope to play. It's absolutely ludicrous. So Carmody makes his living as a freelancer. He openly sells videos and reports, documents that he gets to other news outlets. He sold this to 3 separate outlets. We know of at least one other outlet that didn't buy it, but I'm sure he was shopping it around. This has never been illegal before, and nor should it be. Now, a lot of people might think that it's immoral. Look, if we're going to talk hypocrisy here, one of the reasons that this is really hypocritical is that this is an internal document for somebody who was a lawyer, and he was using drugs. He had alcohol in his system. He's supposed to be one of these pillars of society that is helping people. And obviously, you know, this wouldn't
tough on other people who did similar things, by the way.
You know, again, you talk about hypocrisy. It was here, Luke. So we have to protect this guy, whether you like what he did or not. When documents are given over to other journalists, sources give them, they should not be charged. And not only was he charged, but he was heavily intimidated. Here's a still shot from the security camera footage. You can see one police officer here with a sledgehammer. I believe this is a pickaxe, and then the traditional battering ram, all to go to a journalist's home and take his equipment, Luke.
Jason, I previously had police raid my hotel room that I was living in and search every little aspect of my existence in that hotel room. It's not a pleasurable thing. I was one-on-one, just targeted, attacked for my reporting at Bilderberg in Dresden, and literally the police officers surrounded me, came out, physically assaulted us, shoved us around, and said, "Hey, we're going to beat the crap out of you if you don't leave town now." Of course, that made me call everyone, do a big public demonstration, standing up against the police. But that is, as a journalist, that's one of the things that is terrifying, because you put your butt on the line. And a lot of times you piss off a lot of powerful people. Those powerful people have a lot of ways to screw you over, and this is one of them. And the police officers, this is what's stunning here. The police officers are kind of doubling down. They say that this man committed a crime. They're saying that he crossed the line as well. But again, they're trying to explain that this is a part of some conspiracy probe, that this man somehow stole, conspired, and paid sources to do this, which of course he's denying. He did get the document. How he got the document shouldn't be any of the police's business, because this is what journalism is. This is why we have protections and laws in this country that are supposed to protect whistleblowers and journalists. Now, the gray line that's being drawn here is because this man, Carmody, was selling the information. This is where the whole gray line is being drawn here. And I believe, hey, those are very murky waters, and I still would always side on the journalistic aspect, the free speech aspect, which are extremely important pillars in our country, but sadly are being followed less and less, with the biggest example, of course, being the case with Bradley Manning, Chelsea Manning, and, of course, Julian Assange, in my opinion, Jason. But again, they had a news conference where the police chief literally said, sorry, the sledgehammer looked pretty bad. Yes, it looks very bad, Jason.
Well, and again, this is now almost a worldwide trend. We know what's going on with Assange. We know that he will more likely be extradited here. We know they're going to start to, well, they're already investigating, but more than likely going to bring back the quote-unquote sexual assault charges. And we talk about journalists. It's not just Assange. We've got French journalists now being targeted for internal reports on Yemen, where they're going after them again for these type of conspiracy charges, where they'll receive 5 years in prison for reporting the news. Guys, if we keep criminalizing journalism, this is only going to have a chilling effect on those like myself who are trying to do the right thing and bring the truth. Now, I'm not going to stop telling the truth, but other people whose livelihoods absolutely depend on it, Luke, who are trying to do the right thing, they're more than likely going to feel this chill.
Yeah, I mean, the chilling effect is real. As a journalist who was physically attacked by authorities, interrogated, searched, raided, put in jail under false pretenses for not breaking any law, it has a huge chilling effect. And I mean, I've been in certain situations where I had documents in my hand that I'm like, if I open these documents, I'm going to get in trouble. I remember going to like bigger news organizations out there and them just being like, hey, you guys got lawyers. Here's the information. I don't want any of this, because the chilling effect is extremely real. It's extremely terrifying. Look what's happening like in France right now. Look what's happening with Assange right now. The France one is very, very important because, again, the government there in France is trying to reveal the sources, the whistleblowers, the people in our society that are actually doing the right thing. And because of that, they're saying, tell us who gave us this information, which makes us look bad. Particularly in France, it was the French involvement in the Yemen war that was exposed, that the French were involved. Journalists got their hands on some documents, were able to prove it, published it. Now the French government's like, tell us who gave us this information that we were omitting, that we were lying about, that we were hiding from the public, or you're going to go to jail. That's criminal. That's criminal mafioso behavior, and it needs to be understood. That's why we're making this video. I remember with my sources and my documents, I still told the story in a roundabout way and had another organization deal with the documents because, I'm like, hey, this is an absolute chilling effect that is terrifying. And as a small mom and pop operation, I'm terrified because I don't have the money for the lawyers. I don't have the money for to be able to sustain myself when I'm in jail. I don't. That's just the honest situation here. And it's a very, very difficult situation. And that's why larger institutions even have a hard time taking that risk because of the financial burden and also the repercussions of you being in jail like Julian Assange. That's terrifying. And that's not a world I want to live in. I want to live in a world where we can tell the truth and be not punished for it, not thrown in jail for it, not persecuted because of it. Is that so hard to ask for, Jason?
I don't think it's too much to ask for at all. And again, we have to be very well aware, not only in our country, but across the world of where this is taking place. Because like you said, when you start criminalizing this stuff, you have a chilling factor. I don't want to live like Assange. Most people don't. I don't want to be at an embassy where I'm demonized for riding a skateboard to try to impress a girl for 5 minutes, or I had dirty dishes. I'd like some privacy to my life, and I know that's waning in our society. But the idea that I couldn't go out every morning, go get a coffee, have some small talk with the people that I love is absolutely terrifying to me, and it should terrify you as well. And that's why we have to speak out louder than ever. We have to share this information more than ever, as the platforms we've tried to share this in the past are becoming more and more of censorship and establishment media machines. That's why it's important that you thumbs this video up, you share it on social media, and you get out there and be the change you want to see in the world.